Yeah, I would like to add a little bit on what you were just saying about my background. Before coming to the ICT sector last year, I was working for a knowledge and education institute which was focusing on water. So I will have also this cap on when telling you what my ideas are about what research is and how we are doing it within IICD. One of the things I struggled most when coming within IICD is that I could see a lot of evidence from our project of where the things that we were doing and it was working. And often I was just telling the story to some people, and very often I get the answer, yes, but it's just a specific case in this country, of in this sector, of with this specific group. And somewhere it's a little bit frustrating because you have the feeling that there is something, this is just obvious, it should be clear for everybody that it's working, and then they're asking, yes, but I need more example, and I would like to have statistics that what you are saying is true. I mean, you see it, it's there, so why don't you believe it? So it's a little bit frustrating. So somewhere there is a need for research to really ground this evidence in a more academic way that people recognize as being valid, because just showing it is not enough. So yes, the research is important, and what we do at IICD is try to really extract from this knowledge in the project what is happening there, try to bring this knowledge at a high level to make it more generic, to be sure that it could be replicated in other contexts. One important thing is that it is, in terms of research and innovation, it's the agenda for research in the country should be prepared by the people in the country. And too often, and it was also yesterday, too often is that these agenda are driven by a donor in the north that thinks, oh, that should be done, forgetting a little bit the local context. So it should be research for the South, with the South, and often in the South, but not exclusively, and really answering the question that people in the South have put on the agenda. Another element that you mentioned, it is the capacity building, and it's something that I am very sensitive, and IICD too. In the way of working, we really do capacity building, so maybe later on I can come back on this and really just stress now how important building of capacity of local people is, how fundamental it is to really get the things done. And the last thing is about the people that are involved in the research of activity, is that there is a new movement coming in, also involving this concept of network, which is called co-creation. I think one of the basic has been set down in the book from Don Tapscott, the Wikinomics, and it is really a new way of doing things together, and a creation together in a very open way. And I'm very convinced that Center for Research and Innovation in the South should really build on this concept, because it's a tremendous opportunity, especially in countries in the South that are lacking people. So it's a way to get knowledge workers from all over the world, including people from the diaspora that could be involved in it. So there is a huge potential there, to be honest.
Thank you very much. Kentaro Toyama is the Deputy Director of the Microsoft Research India Center, and he's involved in particular, or he directs the group that does research on technology for emerging markets. He's the principal investigator or researcher for that group. He's co-founder of the international conference, the IEEE ACMs, about ICT for development. So we have here a brilliant scientist and technologist, and somebody who is very keen to work in and for development. So please, Kentaro, tell us what motivates you, but even more importantly, how does your center, your group, work in order to function as you do?
Thank you, Manuel. I'm going to focus my comments on how we do formal research for innovating in the space of ICT for development. So we think of the research process as having several different steps. They're not always done in a consecutive way, but there's usually elements of all three when we undertake projects. The first step is what I call immersion, and basically what it involves is totally immersing oneself in the particular community that we're ultimately hoping to impact. And usually the techniques that are employed are those of ethnography, which are developed by anthropologists as well as other social scientists. And the goal is to really totally understand as much about a particular community as we can. Everything from how their daily life operates to what kind of income they make, to how they make their income, to what are their relationships with existing technology, so on and so forth. And after spending enough time with a particular community, that leads to a certain amount of understanding and intuition for that community that helps us go into the next phase, which could be considered design. In the design phase, we use various different principles from the design community as well as the engineering community. And the goal is to really ultimately come up with some innovation that will help solve a problem or help people do something that they're very interested in doing. Because we're in the space of ICT for development, it almost always will involve some kind of electronic technology. And the goal is to find a complete system of which technology is one component, where the whole system somehow helps to solve a particular problem or achieve a particular goal in a way that is cost effective for that community. Once we're fairly sure that we have that innovation in hand, then we move to the third step, which is evaluation. And evaluation is a very formal, rigorous process. We take, again, principles from randomized control trials, which are developed primarily by the medical community, but also recently by economists. And the goal is to establish beyond a certain amount of statistical significance that the particular innovation is in fact having the impact that we're hoping for. And in all three steps, I would say more than any given process, what's really most important is to have people of extremely high caliber who are very good at doing research in that particular way to be involved. And that's the one thing that I would say I focus on the most, is to make sure that we have people who are extremely both talented as well as experienced in the areas of undertaking that kind of research project. Their ultimate interest in development is definitely, their passion for development is definitely a key component, but their experience in development is not as critical as their experience in research, at least with respect to conducting this kind of innovation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping your remarks short, Kentaro.